Welcome to the video where I will be making my reading journal setup for January. I am going to be using just markers for the setup since I will be drawing. The quality of the video is not the best, sorry about that. I think I didn't focus it and that's why it is this quality. Well, let's start the setup now. This cover page is 2 pages, with the left being the theme and the right being the month title. Last time I used stickers, and this time I am going to be drawing out my setup. I want to challenge myself into trying to draw things that I am nervous about drawing. So for the theme, I'm not sure if it is a theme, but it is trees and mushrooms. I got inspiration from these tiger stickers I have right here. I am just drawing and coloring tree stumps, grass, and mushrooms. The tricky part for me was drawing the roots. It was hard for me to make them look natural. Then for color palette, I have greens, browns, and then bright colors for the mushrooms only. I also am using this gold metallic marker I have for the titles, which I think fits well. With the color palette, what I like about doing how the method I did in outlining it with pen and then coloring it in with marker, well, outlining it first with marker and then coloring it in like I'm doing, is that I feel like I am coloring in a color book. Like it's a page in a coloring book and I'm just coloring it in. Now I can start doing the detail on the bark. Library list. I called it library this time because I didn't think the full title would fit. This is where I write down books I want to check out at the library. I have the title and author in one section, and then on the other section is for the call number, which is the place that I can find the book at the library. I use this quite often in the month, so when I go to the library, I can go directly to the books I want and see if they are there or not. What I'm trying to do with the lines that I leave like dashes and spaces is I want it to look like the bark that I made the lines on it, so it kind of looks like a tree in a way. Then it is quotes, which is for writing down quotes from the books I am reading. If I am reading a book and I found a certain sentence interesting or insightful, I write it down here so that I can remember it. Sometimes I also write down here my thoughts on it, if there is space for that. reading tracker is next, and I use this to track how much I am reading each day. I make a calendar for the month, and when I am reading a book, I write down how many pages I have read that day. I use a color coding system to manage what books I am reading at a time. I sometimes read one book at a time, and then other times I am reading 2 books at the same time. I was thinking of adding polka dots to the mushrooms, but I like just keeping them one color. So I'm going to keep just having them one color like I am right now. I like the colors that I picked for them. They look very pretty and they fit with my color palette that I have. Then on the right side, I have reading log, which is also the books that I am reading. It is the place that I have a table where I write out the book I am reading and any extra information. This is a way for me to see how many books I start and don't finish, as well as write down my rating and when I finish it and all the other information I want on a book. I used to have a whole page for this, but I thought this would fit better within the reading tracker, so I have generated books here. This is where I write all the books that I have finished reading this month. It's a page where I can clearly view the books I read this month. I keep this simple with the title and author in order of when I finish the books. So one thing I regret from the setup is how I had generate books separated from reading log. I think it would have been better if I had this at the front, so right here rather than here in the back. It just kind of is confusing a bit. So for next month, I think I'm going to put this in the front of this cutout just because then these two could be next to each other, like the two reading log things. So someone left a comment telling me that if I outlined a bit with pencil, it would be easier to cut evenly. And I tried that this time, and I think it turned out way better. So thank you for that information, because it definitely worked. I called this a review this time, but this is also book statistics. I like looking at my reading progress with numbers, and this spread is perfect for that. I just write out whatever I want to track. I used to use pie charts for this, but I found them daunting to fill in at the end of the month, so I am trying bar graphs this time. One of the things that I'm tracking is subgenre, which is different from genres. Subgenres is basically romance fantasy, which subgenre do I read the most, and I'm also tracking genres, which is like nonfiction and fiction, which one do I read most, then format, what type do I use most. It's just to see what I use the most of, as well as how many pages I've read total this month, how many books, and how much is my average reading in books. Just those kind of numbers that I like to look at the end of the month and see how my reading habits are. Then in the middle here, I have most liked books, which is for me to write down the book I like the most this month at the end of the month. Then on the other side, it is least liked, which is for the book that I least liked this month. It is fun to see this at the end of the month and see what book I like the most and which one I like the least. Last up is reading notes, which is pages that I've made that are for writing down any notes I have on a book I am reading. I use this for many things, sometimes for theories on where I think a book series is going to go, or just to write down my immediate thoughts on a book. I can get very excited when reading, that going here to write down how much I am liking the book and what specifically I liked helps me in knowing what kind of books I tend to like, as well as just to get out of my system my thoughts. I use this also for analyzing a book if I want to. Again, this can be used for anything having to do for books, which is why I like including it in my setup. That was my completed reading journal setup for January. I am proud of myself for trying something new. I have always been nervous about drawing trees, and I accomplished it. This did take a bit longer because of all the drawing, but I liked how it turned out. Thank you so much for watching to this point if you have, and until the next video, goodbye!